All right, it's time for another edition of Behind the Lines Unfiltered. I got to be honest with you, of all the stuff I kind of have to do as part of this gig on Behind the Lines, my favorite part really is quickly becoming Behind the Lines Unfiltered. It's just kind of nice to just kind of be free and talk about stuff. I'm here with Diane Roberts. Diane, it's so good to see you as always.
Graham, we're in two different parts of the DMV, but we're talking to people all around the country and all around the world. That is another really fun part of Behind the Lines Unfiltered.
Yeah, it is.
Know who you're going to talk to or where people will be listening from.
Exactly. So let us know where you are and where you're listening from. But, you know, it's an exciting day for us. We just finished our second episode of Behind the Lines. It's on its way to the distributor. We'll be at all of the networks who deliver our show tomorrow night. Be available on linear broadcasting cable through Saturday morning. And once the Air Force Navy game happens, you will want to make sure you're up on what we did, so you're up on the game. But you know what we really want to talk about is, Diane, you did two pieces, I thought, in our first show that were really amazing. All right. Well, I think all your stuff is amazing. And I'll just in the interest of full disclosure, we've been working together for a little while. Anyway, you did a piece on leadership. And the thing is that in linear broadcasting cable, we're limited to a certain amount of time. There was so much more to that leadership piece. And part of what we want to do in this kind of Behind the Lines Unfiltered is really dig into that. Diane, why don't we do this? For anybody who hasn't seen the piece, let me just play it for you now, and we'll be back in about 2 minutes, and we'll really dig into it. Here's Diane's piece from our first episode.
Graham, leadership is nothing new in sports, but at service academies, it might take a little bit different form. These guys, after they leave the playing field, they're going to go on to be leaders in the military. So leadership is something special, especially for the captains.
We, as captains, we're in charge of holding the standard and kind of pushing the culture of the team, making sure that's upheld. But that's not taking away from any of the leadership abilities or capabilities of the other people on the team.
These may be Army linebacker Eric Smith's words, but it's a common refrain echoed at Air Force, Navy, and Coast Guard, too. If you talk to the captains of any of the service academies, they'll tell you any one of the players could have been captain. When your marching orders after college dictate service to country, service on the field is another opportunity to set an example.
We kind of know our role. We all have different personalities, and we kind of just use that to kind of lead the team.
I think we cater the traits that we all have to the situation, and I think there's never really any conflict with it, and we lean on other leaders in the team, guys on the offensive side of the ball, other guys on the defensive side of the ball, and it's by committee. It's no one guy.
Army's captains, Markel Broughton, Nolan Cockrell, Cedric Cunningham Jr., and Eric Smith are all defensive players. At Navy, two captains come from each side of the ball. Chance Warren and Michael Cooper on offense, Diego Fagot and Kevin Brennan on D. And they've developed their leadership skills from those who came before them.
As a leader, as a captain, I think he embodies, what I want to aspire to, because, his mentality, the way that he attacked every single day with that positive attitude, checking his baggage at the door, leaving everything behind.
I'm like a fiery, leader, stuff like that. But Malcolm was very quiet and just led by example. So I like to take pieces of that, try to take some stuff that he showed me leadership-wise and try to translate it to the way I lead.
The thing that I love about these young men, they embody everything that we're looking for here at the Naval Academy. They're obviously really, really good football players, but they're good people. They're men of integrity and character.
I think our players did a really good job of selecting members on our leadership council that will represent them well and do a good job with leadership.
Leading now in football and later taking the helm as officers falls on Coast Guard captains Adam Jabril Barnes, Mason Schroeder, Michael Palermo, and Damaso Jamie. As for Air Force, we're not holding out on you. Head coach Troy Calhoun won't announce team captains until later this season. Sometimes the Falcons use game captains. He'll make that announcement on game day.
Leadership can be an individual responsibility, but a collective one too, and everybody can play a part that way. I like, especially for older guys, our seniors, to feel like, hey, here's a way where we can impact the direction of our team, rather than just saying it's solely 3 or 4 guys that can do that.
Diane, really great work. You know,
You.
we weren't able to bring the full piece to everybody, in part because we ran out of time, and we'll get to that at the end of this conversation. But as part of this, we had some really interesting conversations with some of the coaches. I'm just kind of curious, now that you've done this piece, you know, what's your take on what it takes to be a leader at these academies and to be a captain on one of these football teams?
You know, what's interesting is all football players, I think, I've been covering sports for, 20 plus years. In all sports, there are always a few leaders on every team. And then there's the captain who's picked by the team. But at a military academy where they are trained to be leaders, when they leave the field, they're going to be leaders in life, leaders in battle, leaders in military leadership. And so when you talk about a captain of a military academy, that's like the creme de la creme. That's like the captain of all captains, because they have to be leaders of men and women often on the field. And so I am struck by how they feel like they're all captains. Even the captains feel like every single person on the team is a leader. Every single person on the team could be a captain. And that's how they behave. They have leadership councils, and they know when they leave the football field, when they leave the Naval Academy or wherever they're going to school, when they leave, they're going to be leaders in military, and the experience they're receiving on the field, on the football field will serve them well, of course.
Yeah, well, you know, what's interesting is I want to create a little contrast, because as part of your piece, I ended up interviewing Sean Elliott, the head coach from the Georgia State team and the Panthers. And as part of that, you know, we were just trying to set up kind of what the game was going to be between Army and Georgia State, et cetera. But in that press conference, I had a chance to ask him, you know, what leaders, you know, what does he look for in his captains? And here's what he had to say.
Well, I think you go out and you recruit leaders. I think during the recruiting aspect of it, you got to find individuals that have been captains on their football team, that have done things right in the weight room, that are solid in the classroom. You need to go out and recruit leaders, just like you need the 4-4 tailback. I mean, you've got to do that. And we've made a point of going through our roster and really pinpointing guys that have been captains on their high school teams, guys that have won at a high level on their teams. And I think, you know, if I have to go around here all the time and try to build leadership, then I'm spinning my wheels. Let's go recruit leadership and let me go teach them how to play the game of football.
So I think it's really interesting that, you know, Coach Elliott is talking about, you know, he wants to go out and find leaders. I had the chance to ask Coach Monken the same question, and here's what he had to say. Hey, Coach, I want to change this subject to leadership for a second. Talk to me a bit about your captains. You know, everyone's going to graduate from Army and become a leader. How do you select your captains? And then what do you ask from the leaders of your other leaders?
Well, they all will have to lead, and they're all going to lead in their own way and lead based on their personality. And I think in every group, in every organization, there are leaders, and there are some that just stand out among the others. And I think our 4 captains were chosen by their teammates. We allow their teammates to select the captains, that those guys stood out. Now, each of the guys that is in a leadership position on our team, I ask to fill out an application, so they actually apply for the job. And that doesn't just include the captains, but also those that are selected onto the leadership council. I think it's important that a guy wants to be in that leadership role. There's a lot of responsibility and frankly, a lot of things that they have to do from a leadership standpoint that put them in an uncomfortable position at times of having to reprimand teammates, take corrective action on teammates. And that's not easy to do. It's not easy to do with your peers, especially. It's a lot easier for me. These players aren't my peers. So I tell them, here's what I expect. And when we fall short, it doesn't bother me at all to tell them, but it's a little bit harder when it's one of them having to do it. But all four of these guys do a really good job. And there's other guys on our team that were selected under the Leadership Council that are in that senior class. Dean Powell, Jabari Laws, Noah Knapp, all of those guys as well, I think stand out as leaders on this team. So
Coach Monken took a whole nother thing. When you talk to him about recruiting and what he's looking for, they start going into grades and character and all kinds of stuff. So you have the contrast of a Coach Elliott who's like, well, I just try to recruit everyone who's a leader. And you have Coach Monken who's in it to so many different levels.
Okay, so those are those guys, Graham. And then, of course, Coach Calhoun, Troy Calhoun from the Air Force Academy, he says that, leadership can be individual, but it can also be collective. And he feels very strongly that everybody on the team can play a part, and he feels like it's important for them, and they can all have an impact in the direction of the team, but also in the direction of, what's happening after that, not just the 2 or 3 or the 4 captains who are picked.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating. But here's the real nugget. You came up with this great bit that we just didn't have time for in the show. And to me, this is the magic. To me, this is the Quan. I'm going to steal the line from Jerry Maguire.
Quan.
Yeah, the Quan. So what are the 3 C's? And how did you find it? Where did you come across this idea?
So here's what happens when I am assigned a story. We get all of the elements, meaning all of the sound from the coaches and the players, and then the information about the particular game or the information about a particular segment or whatever of the game. And then I just sort of do some Google searches and just, look for interesting elements that I might be able to add in or tie in. And I came across something from some sports psychologists, Larry Lauer and Kevin Blue. And they say that team captains have to have the 3 C's. The first C is caring. They have to be undeniably passionate about the game, but also about their teammates. And if you think about it, every good captain, what do they say after games? They're always talking about their teammates. And they never say it in a kind of lackadaisical way either. The really good ones, they always have a lot of passion about it. So caring. The other one is courageous. They have to be willing to step up. They have to be able to walk the talk. They can't be afraid to complete assignments just because they're hard. And so when you see an individual do that, when you see your captain do that, then you as the non-captain player, it gives you confidence that you can do it as well. And another C, the third C, is they have to be consistent. They have to hold themselves to a standard of giving 100% effort every single time they step on the field, whether it's the practice field or the playing field, every single time. They can't cut corners. And again, when your fellow teammates see you as the captain behaving in that manner, they have no choice but to behave in that manner because you're setting the example. You are leading. So these 3 C's will serve Service Academy players, honestly, Service Academy captains now and well into their future. And actually, I think all of us can take a hint from that. 3 C's: caring, courageousness, and consistency.
Yeah. Well, I've got 2 C's for you, Diane.
Yeah.
Captain, my captain.
Yes.
Hey, listen, absolutely a pleasure to finally get to unpack this. It's fairly busy behind the scenes and behind the lines. One of the promises that our producer's always pushing us for is we're trying to create these moments where there's this aha moment of, oh, I didn't know that. That's how he thinks of it. And I think of it as we're trying to find the behind the lines stories and the behind the scenes stories you can't find anywhere else. And to be honest, I had this great aha moment when you said that. And so I have to call our producer, Chris Garina, right away and let him know that the caring, courageous, and consistent, are my aha moment for this. So Captain, my captain, thank you. I look forward to seeing you on another edition of Behind the Lines Unfiltered. You have a great day and look forward to some more of your reporting.
Sounds good, Graham. Everybody practice the 3 C's. Bye.
Yeah, thanks, Diane.